Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to my first video upload in over a month. I'll explain more on that later, but this video is about a camera equipment upgrade. So for the past however many years, I have been using some quite cheap cameras. So this is one of them. So the brand is Andoa. I'm guessing they're Chinese. They're okay. Yeah, made in China, as is everything. So, you know, they're okay. They do the job. Fairly good spec on them, really. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that, but that's the spec on these cameras. Yeah, as I said, they've been doing the job. That's one of the cameras, but actually this is the one that I had been using mostly. Okay, yeah, it looks pretty much the same. And again, the specs there. So this one that I had been using, it's, let me just see, where is it? Zoom. There we go. So 10 times optical zoom, which is okay. And the other one, I hadn't used this one as much. There was a bit of a problem with the lens on this one. But I think it's about the same. 16 times digital zoom, so maybe this one doesn't have optical zoom. I think that's why I wasn't using it so much. You know, obviously optical zoom is better than digital zoom for, you know, precise up close work, or close up work if you prefer. So, you know, they were relatively cheap, about 7,000 baht each, which is a little over 100 quid, about $150 thereabouts. So quite cheap, but you know, they did the job. They were okay. They weren't too bad for cheap, nasty Chinese cameras. But I think, to be fair, most cameras are made in China anyway. So I decided it was time for an upgrade, a proper upgrade. You know, something with a brand name on it. So the new camera I've got now looks like this. Not a great picture, but gives you the idea. So it's, you know, it's got the flip out 3-inch screen. It's got the lens which is on the camera at the moment. And this model, hold on, is the Sony ZV-E10. Not the Mark II, this is the Mark I. Sony ZV-E10. And obviously it's a much better camera than the ones I had been using. Now this probably cost a little over 3 times as much as the other cameras, but it's a Sony. You know, it's obviously much better quality. It's a known brand, arguably not the best brand of cameras on the market, but pretty good. And interestingly, I could have bought from the same shop, and incidentally the shop I bought this from is called Big Camera. quite a popular camera shop in Thailand. Now, from the same shop, for about the same price as I paid for this Sony, I could have got a Canon camera, similar specs to this one, but to be honest, there were so many buttons, functions and features on the Canon camera, 90% of which I'd probably never use. You know, I mean, Canons are arguably one of the best camera brands on the market, and they can be really expensive. But as I said, I could have got a very similar Canon camera, similar in specs and everything to this camera, for around about the same price, which I was really surprised at. It was the Canon EOS R50, I think. Canon EOS R50. Pretty good camera. Obviously it's a Canon. But like I said, there were so many buttons and functions and features on that camera, most of which I would never use. I mean, Canon cameras, as many other brands, are specifically designed for professional photographers, of which I am not. And I predominantly use my camera for video work anyway, not actual still photography. Although I have used this camera to take some photographs of many of my instruments to put up on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And it's a pretty user-friendly camera, I've got to be honest. I mean, there are quite a few features on this camera, don't get me wrong, you know, with all sorts of things for setup and everything else, but nowhere near as much as there is on the Canon. And I'm not particularly strong on tech, so I need something that's relatively simple to use, and this Sony is. I mean, there's still quite a few features I've got to set up. I mean, everything at the moment is set at kind of standard, if you like, you know, speed and picture quality and everything else. It's all kind of set up at standard at the moment, and it seems to be fine for what I'm doing right now. So as I said, this is the Sony ZV-E10, the Mark 1, not the Mark 2. The Mark 2 is quite a bit more expensive and not really that much gain, to be honest. I mean, it's got better battery life and one or two other features, you know, more so than this Mark 1. But for me, it doesn't really justify paying almost double the price that I paid for this one, just for the Mark II, you know, for a couple of extra features. Couldn't justify it. So, you know, this camera, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't stupid expensive. You know, like I said, if I'd gone for one of the higher end brands, I would have paid a lot more. Like I said, but I could have got a Canon for the same price, which I found quite surprising, but it was just way too overkill for my needs. This camera is ideal, and some of the things that I needed a better camera for was, first of all, picture quality. I mean, the picture quality on those cheap Chinese cameras wasn't great. It was okay, but it wasn't great. And the picture quality on this camera, as I'm sure you can see, my regular viewers from my other videos to this one, picture quality is much, much better, obviously. And I think it's got the same amount of zoom. This one has optical zoom and digital zoom. So the optical zoom, I think, is 10 times and then 16 times optical zoom or something like that. I prefer not to use the sorry, I've got that the wrong way around. 10 times optical zoom, 16 times digital zoom, I think. Don't quote me on that. I prefer not to use the digital zoom for extreme close-up, because you tend to lose picture quality. So, you know, I'm actually going, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to set this camera up so that it only uses the optical zoom. I haven't actually set that up yet, but it's really quick and simple to do. So, first of all, picture quality, much, much better. Sound quality, irrelevant, because I'm still using the same condenser microphone that I was using on my other cameras, which I've been quite happy with. This microphone seems to work really well. And again, that wasn't an expensive one. I can't remember the brand of it, but nothing well known, but it works perfectly well. So picture quality, number one. Number two, I was talking about the zoom. So it's about the same amount of zoom, but the autofocus on this camera is quick and really good. So to give you an example of how quick it is, so you know, I'm kind of far away, but if I show you my old camera in the box, the autofocus is virtually instantaneous and it's really good. So that's going to be good for, you know, some of the work I do with the close-ups and, you know, so things exactly like this where I'm talking to you and then I show you something up close. The autofocus is fast and really good. So those two features already, you know, are a massive improvement on what I was using before. So much better picture quality, autofocus is much faster and much better. But the single most important feature that's different on this camera to my previous ones, this camera does not time out after 26 minutes. Absolute game changer. Because, you know, my other two cameras, they had a permanent unchangeable feature built in where they timed out after 26 minutes and some seconds. I think it's for YouTube purposes, and I'm not too sure about that. I think it is. It's related to YouTube policy or something. But it was always a problem for me. You know, first of all, I was always having to check on the time while I was making the videos, which was annoying at best. But regular viewers of mine will remember that, you know, many of my videos just stopped, timed out, because I forgot to keep an eye on the time. So, you know, I was always having to keep an eye on the time. Sometimes I forgot and the camera cut out when I was in the middle of doing something or saying something important or both. And that was a real problem. So on numerous occasions, that built-in feature spoilt many of my videos. And subsequently, that kind of spoilt some of the projects. Because, you know, the viewers, you guys missed out on, you know, certain parts. It looked totally unprofessional. I mean, I'm no professional anyway, but, you know, it was a bad feature for me. You know, every 25 or 26 minutes, the camera would just stop and then start again, which was no good to me. So I was always having to keep an eye on the time. Sometimes I forgot, and those two, you know, issues alone spoiled many of my videos and the projects themselves in some cases. So this camera does not time out. I know that because I tested it for over an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes, and it just kept going. So that, as I said, is an absolute game changer. It really is, because many of my videos should have been longer, you know, up to an hour or so. Because of the nature of the work I was doing on the videos. So, you know, this camera not timing out is an absolute game changer, and it will make a big difference to upcoming videos. I'll be able to make longer videos and not, you know, oh, what's the time? How much time have I got left? All that, you know, it was to me it was irritating. I'm sure it was to the viewers as well. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can, you know, take my time, do the job properly without having to rush it before the camera times out, which was never a good thing. And, you know, just be able to deliver, in my opinion, maybe not yours, better quality videos, because I'm not worrying about the time, I'm not rushing things. And as I said, some of the videos would have easily gone on, you know, much longer anyway. So, so new camera. I've also got a new tripod, which is sitting on right now. I mean, I'm sitting in a chair. The tripod is in front of me. The legs are fully extended, and as you can see from the camera angle, the camera is slightly above me. I mean, if I sit up straight, the camera lens is about level with the top of my head. So I've got the legs on the tripod fully extended, but not the top part. The top part will go up another 15 inches or so. It's a much bigger tripod, much better quality, and stronger, sturdier, and more versatile. And it wasn't that expensive. It was about a tenner, sort of less than 10 quid, about $10. So, you know, and I saw an almost identical tripod to this in the shop where I bought the camera for about 7 or 8 times the price, and it was almost identical. Obviously it was better quality, but even so, you can get, you know, decent stuff at a decent price if you shop around. And you know, I do a lot of my shopping online, and I didn't buy this camera online. As I said, I bought it from Big Camera. So that's enough about the camera itself. I mean, it's definitely going to improve things over the, you know, well, the coming future. It's going to improve things a lot, the camera and the tripod. But coming back to why it's been such a long time since I've uploaded any videos. Well, one of the reasons was the cameras. They were pissing me off. You know, they were doing the job, but that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted something much better quality, so I took some time out to, you know, do some research and find the camera that I needed, and eventually I found it and bought it. But things have been a little bit up and down as far as the school is concerned as well. We're still waiting on the finalisation of the actual registration of our school. That's not quite finished yet. Been going on for 14 months now. Crazy. Thailand. So that's, you know, and there's been lots of work I've had to do physically in the school, you know, sort of, you know, decorating and doorways and windows and all sorts of things. Oh, excuse me. And it being April now, the Thai New Year is the 13th of April. It's called Songkran on the 13th of April. But we have been closed for the past 3 weeks. We've closed our school for the whole of April. Partly because of this registration thing as the school, and you know, a few other reasons. And I recently had to go and renew my visa. So it only took a day, but it's just a faff, you know. Have to travel to a different part of the country to do that. But another thing, actually, how long has this been running? 20 minutes, nothing. Another thing that I have been doing for the past couple of months or so is I've been rebuilding some of my instruments and building some new ones as well. That is going to be my next video, talking about that, not actually showing the work or anything, because most of the work is done now. So I've been, as I said, rebuilding many of my instruments and also building some new ones as well. Now, the reason I didn't film any of it is it was quite a long project. I've probably been on it for a couple of months. I'm not quite finished yet. I've still got one instrument to finish, and I've been on this project for a couple of months. And you know, I will explain more in the video itself about that, but it was a long project, and many different instruments, at least 8, maybe 9 instruments. Can't remember exactly. And a lot of it was repetitive. I kind of did the same thing to many of the instruments, pretty much the same thing. So a lot of it was very repetitive. A lot of it was long, fiddly jobs, and for the most part, not all that interesting to record. And you know, I decided to just take a step back from the recording for a while and concentrate on, first of all, getting my new camera. I've only had it a few days, So first of all, doing this long project of rebuilding and building from scratch a lot of instruments. And like I said, I'll explain more in the video itself. But I decided not to record any of it because, as I said, it's very repetitive, very long, and a lot of it wasn't all that interesting. Although the job itself and the results are quite interesting. But more on that in that video to come soon. So that's kind of got things up to speed a little bit. I'm still not sure what my next project is going to be. I think I know what it is, but more on that later. That's going to be a few weeks away yet. Okay, so that video will be coming soon on the long-term project I did for building and rebuilding many instruments, and then moving on from there, not quite sure yet. So in the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace out.